A congressional investigation into the riot at the U.S. Capitol in January 2021 blames former President Donald Trump for what it describes as an attempted coup. It was the first of 6 hearings. It was broadcast live on primetime U.S. television. The vice chairwoman of the congressional panel, Liz Cheney, said Mr. Trump had lit the flame of the attack. The hearing culminated after the committee spent almost a year investigating. Graphic new footage was shown of thousands of rioters attacking police, smashing their way into the Capitol building on the 6th of January 2021, when supporters of Mr. Trump tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power to President Biden. In his videotaped testimony, the former U.S. Attorney General, William Barr, said he repeatedly told then President Trump that he didn't agree with him, that the election had been stolen. And a video was also played of Mr. Trump's daughter, Ivanka, who said she didn't believe her father's claims of election fraud. Now, Mr. Trump has described this investigation and the televised hearings as, his words, a hoax. Now, Nomia Iqbal has this report. Well, I think we cannot bring you Nomia Iqbal's report at this time. We are having a few technical difficulties. Let's just... I think we're still having some technical difficulties. This is rather embarrassing, and I do apologize, but we're trying to find the tape of Nomia Iqbal's report on those hearings on Capitol Hill. So I think we're finally in good shape. Let's hear from Nomia Iqbal right now.
They're marching eastbound.
It's one of the most documented events in modern history.
One advised they're trying to breach and get to the Capitol.
Well, that was a right old mess.
And new footage shows just how close America came to losing its democracy on January the 6th. This was a highly produced hearing made for primetime TV, in which the committee said it would reveal shocking details of what happened.
And aware of the rioters' chance to hang Mike Pence, the president responded with this sentiment, quote, "Maybe our supporters have the right idea. Mike Pence, quote, deserves it."
We heard from the Attorney General at the time, William Barr, once close to Donald Trump.
I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was.
And for the first time, we saw Mr. Trump's daughter agree.
I respect Attorney General Barr, so I accepted what he was saying.
Do you swear and affirm under penalty of perjury?
Then came the live testimony, first from a police officer injured that day by the pro-Trump mob.
I was called a traitor to my country, my oath, and my Constitution. In actuality, I was none of those things. I was an American, standing face to face with other Americans, asking myself how many times, many times, how we had gotten here.
And then a British filmmaker, Nick Quested, who filmed with the Proud Boys, a far-right militia group accused of sparking the riot.
I documented the crowd turn from protesters to rioters to insurrectionists. I was surprised at the size of the group, the anger and the profanity. And for anyone who didn't understand how violent that event was, I saw it, I documented it, and I experienced it.
Inside the hearing, those who lost loved ones wept. The word illegal was used many times in the hearing. The panel is ultimately trying to set out this case to prove that Donald Trump's attempt to overturn the election result led directly to the deadly riot. Nomia Iqbal, BBC News, Washington.
Now, a short time ago, I spoke to Greg Swenson, who is the chair of the group Republicans Overseas. He said that while most Americans were shocked and appalled by the events of January 2021, he doesn't agree with this committee's conclusions.
There's really nothing new in this committee hearing that changed my view about that. So, I mean, if anything, it was, of course, troubling to watch those clips again. But it's not like there was any real mind changing here. I think everybody agrees that January 6th was a really bad day in American history.
Right. So as a Republican Party activist, you're happy to agree with the committee, are you, that the evidence here is Donald Trump front and center of a conspiracy to subvert American democracy?
Well, no, I'm not sure I'd agree with that conclusion. I mean,
that's what they said yesterday, and they presented the evidence.
Right. Well, they presented evidence, but they didn't present a lot of evidence about what happened before January 6th. Notably, on January 3rd and 4th, President Trump had requested 20,000 National Guard troops. I'm not sure he would want to inspire a crowd to riot or to violate federal law by going into the Congress when he was actually requesting National Guard troops to come in. Now, Mayor Muriel Bowser, and Speaker Pelosi denied that request. And that's been confirmed by the entire group.
Yeah, on the day itself, it's quite clear that Donald Trump made no request to call in the National Guard. But I'm interested in the politics of this.
Again, he did request that on January 3rd.
Yeah, but it hadn't happened then. The point is that when it was happening, Donald Trump could see it was happening, and he did not make any call to the National Guard. But let us talk about the politics of this. You're a senior Republican voice. Donald Trump is still the de facto leader of your party. Many believe he'll be your candidate in 2024. Given what we heard yesterday, and of course these hearings continue, is there any viability, any credibility to Donald Trump being the Republican candidate in the next presidential election?
Yeah, I'm not sure that he will. I mean, that's a great question, and everybody's speculating as to whether he'll run or not. I don't think the outcome of this committee changes any of that. I mean, what was left out of this was any reference to the summer of 2020, the violence that occurred in America that in many ways legitimized it. I think that the left is arguing that political violence is bad, and I agree with that. But spending years accepting it, both in summer of 2020 with the much more dangerous riots that occurred and much more death and destruction, and then you have the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer threatening Supreme Court justices that were approved, that were recommended by Trump, of course. And then you had silence, right now from the Democrats on the violent threats and, in fact, an assassination attempt on Brett Kavanaugh 2 days ago, and it made page 820 in the Washington Post. So,
isn't the truth here, Mr. Swenson, quite simple? If the Republicans continue to allow Donald Trump to be dominant in your party, it shows your party is only interested in power, isn't interested in defending democracy.
No, that's not true at all. That's not a conclusion you can draw from this. What I would argue is there are other potential presidential candidates. There are many in the party who would support other candidates over President Trump. But right now, if he's polling well and he chooses to run, I'm sure he'll have plenty of support. I don't think this committee changes that.